We are going to try to rapid fire go through all the books that I read in February and March. Not that it was that many, because it literally wasn't at all, but I do have to leave for work in like 15 minutes. So, I'm gonna try to get this done really quickly so that way I can edit this and get it up because I am gonna try to start posting on YouTube like consistently. Okay, that is my goal, my own personal goal, and we're gonna do it. So just to explain a little bit before I start going through these, February, March, going into April has been very chaotic for me. Just to sum it up really quick, I went to Vegas for a few days and then I came back, got extremely sick, like had the flu, and then I had to fly to LA for 24 hours while still suffering from the flu, which was absolutely miserable. If you have any type of like head congestion, don't get on a plane, please. It's actually hell. And then coming back from that, I moved. Um, and moving kind of was a bit of a process because I was moving about an hour, and so I was driving back and forth while trying to like get a new job, and then driving back to my mom's house to get stuff because my car is very small. And then so that was like a few week process. And then I lost my job, well, quit my job because it was actually hell. And then I started a new job. So yeah, that's what my last month and a half, 2 months have looked like. So not very much reading has been done. I think in March, no, sorry, February, I only read 4 books, and then in March, I only read 2 books. So not that many books to talk about today, but we're gonna talk about them anyway. So, so the first book, sorry, that just shook. The first book I actually already unhauled because when I moved, if you can see this bookshelf behind me, this is the only bookshelf that I brought with me. I did have another bookshelf and then some shelves up on my wall that didn't come with me with the move. So I unhauled a ton of books. So the first book that we're going to talk about is Crash Test by Amy James. And I filmed a reading F1 romance books for 24 hours reading blog. This is a F1 romance book, and I had a good time with this. It was very quick. It was extremely quick to get through, and I was definitely enjoying it. I think the main issue that I have with this book is that it was extremely insta-love. Basically, we're starting out in Travis's POV. Travis is the F1 driver, and then we also have Jacob, who is an F2 driver. And at the beginning of this book, Travis is doing an interview, and during this interview, he finds out that during the F2 race, there was a really fatal crash, and somebody had already passed away. And he finds out that Jacob was in this crash. In the present POV where the crash did occur, nobody knows that they are together, or nobody even knows that they are gay. What I was saying in my vlog with this, I felt like with the past POVs is where we really could have utilized those chapters to like actually show them falling in love and getting that emotional depth with it, because it just felt, you know, again, just like insta love. So I felt like we didn't really get them like falling in love with each other. It was just like, oh, that's when I fell in love with him, and like that was it, you know? Other than that, I felt like I had a lot of good conversations in it about being queer and being open about that, and leaning on your family or even the people that aren't your actual family, but finding people who are your people and people that you can lean on, and friendship. I felt like there was a lot of really good conversation about that, and that was definitely my favorite part of the book. But the actual romance of the book, I unfortunately did not enjoy that much. So I rated it 3 stars, I believe. So that was the first book in February that I finished. And then again, continuing on with the F1 romances, I have the first book here. I unfortunately don't own the second book, but it was the second book in this series, which is Ride With Me by Simone Soltani. And this book, we're following Willow and Dev, and this one was a friends to lovers. The second book, we're following Stella and Thomas, and that one is an accidental marriage, and I loved it so much. I just thought it was really, really precious. And if you like F1 or you just want like a sports romance series to read, I would definitely recommend picking these up because they're really quick, but they're so cute, and I just love all of the F1 talk. And the men in these are very like acts of service, very kind, like gentleman. So I just love that aspect of these romance books. I just love a sweet boy. Like that's my favorite romance books to read. And Thomas is definitely such a sweet boy. He was so, so kind. Stella was also such a like hardworking, independent person that it was just really interesting to read their dynamic being together. I ended up rating that one 4.25 stars. I actually rated this one 4 stars, and then I rated Ride With Me 4.25. I liked it a little bit more, maybe even 4.5. I liked that one more than this one, but it was just really, really cute. If you like, again, like a sports romance, a sweet boy, kind boy, I would definitely recommend. After reading those two, I of course picked up Wuthering Heights. And this I am like a little bit hesitant to talk about just because I haven't read too many classics. I read a few in high school, and this was like, I think, my first classic, like as an adult, I guess, like on my own that I've read that I can think of at the moment. And I just had such an interesting time with this. I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know if I can really like put them into words or like really sum it up quickly. But basically, there were so many parts of this book that I genuinely loved. Like genuinely was just like, wow, I feel like the obsession, and I feel so many big feelings about this. But then my overall feelings about this, like at the very end of the book, I was just like, I don't know how to feel. Like my boyfriend asked me, he was like, when I finished it, he was like, well, how do you like it? Like, what would you rate it? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I genuinely don't know what I would rate this. Like, I don't know. And then we went and watched the movie together, and we both, at the end of the movie, we were like, well, did you like it? And both of us were like, I don't know. It's just such an odd story, and that is something that I do like about this, is that it is just so odd. Like, and I love that Emily Bronte at the time that she wrote this was just so different and unique. I genuinely really admire that about her. But again, it's just such an odd story, you know? Like it is, everyone tells you like it's not a love story, it's very dark, there's a lot of dark aspects to this, and there definitely is. But there is, again, like a lot of conversation about obsession and isolation and codependency and all of these things that is just so interesting to read and think about. I won't lie to you, there were multiple parts during this book that I was just like, yeah, I just don't really want to keep reading. Like I didn't really want to keep reading it or like care, I guess, to like pick it up at times. But then there, like I said, there were also like multiple times throughout this book where I just felt like an overwhelming amount of love for it. So very contradicting, I know, but again, just don't know what I would rate this. I don't even think I rated it on Fable, but it's a classic. It's Wuthering Heights. I don't really think my personal opinion on this book even means anything. So we're just gonna say that I read it and move on from it. Next, I picked up this big book, which is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, and this magic system is genuinely one of my favorite magic systems that I have read in a long time, maybe like ever, like one of my favorite ones. But basically, let me like buckle up to tell you about this. Basically, in this book, we are following Tao. He is the main character. Pretty early on-ish, something happens to him that changes him, really like traumatizes him, as one could say. Yeah. And basically he dedicates his entire every single second of his life to getting revenge and getting back at the people who hurt him. In this world, the magic system, basically what they have is, it's called Isiago. I think it's spelled Isiago, but in the book, the narrator, I'm pretty sure he said it like Isiogo. So I don't really know how to say it. But anyway, that place is essentially like the underworld, like hell. That's where all of the like demons and the underworld is. And the people who are blessed with the gift to use this magic, they basically draw their power from Isiogo, and there's different forms. So main example in this is you see the most of the people that are called innovators. So say like if you're in a battle, the innovators can like strike their power, and anyone who it touches, their soul gets sent to Isiogo for not that long, but to them it feels like a really long time. And while their soul is in Isiogo, they are basically being like attacked and shredded apart, ripped apart by these demons that are down there. So even when they come back from Isiogo, they are like disoriented and traumatized and like can't fight in this battle because they were just so traumatized by what they saw and felt. So it's just a very interesting magic system. It's really cool. There's a lot of political intrigue in this, a lot of battles. Evan Winters does a really good job of writing battle scenes that aren't boring because of the magic system. It just makes it so interesting. But yeah, we're following Tao. There's a lot of found family in this. The men that he is with and his little, like the group that he's in, they're all part of people that are not higher ups. They're all like lowborns. So they all have to work 10 times harder to get to the top. And it's just really interesting following them and their story and Tao's story specifically. And the ending of this book was just so insane. The things that happened, I was like, oh my God, surely that's not true. And then I started the second book and I was like, oh, it is true. Like, what the heck? Like, it was just so crazy. And I read a lot of this on the plane while going to and from Vegas, and I just had the best time. I thought this was really good. And I started the second book, but I haven't finished it yet. So hopefully I finish it in April. But yeah, I would definitely recommend The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter if you like high fantasy. Those were the 4 that I read in February, and I really have to go quick for the books that I read in March because I really have to leave and go to work. But starting off in March, I read Written on Ice by Smardline, and this is a dark hockey romance. It's so tiny. I read this in like one day. This was such a good time. We're following Zayden, who is a hockey player, and then Luna, who is an ice skater. And Luna enrolls in this university, and when she gets there, she starts finding out some information. She starts getting some weird text, and she basically finds out about this hidden secret skating rink where something bad happened a long time ago and it's not used anymore. And she starts getting these weird texts, and she ends up going there, and that's where she meets Zayden. And there's some interesting like underlying plots going on while we're also following their romance. And I thought this was a good time. It reminded me a lot of Enigma, except this was just like a little bit too short in my opinion. I feel like we didn't get enough time to really develop the romance or like really get into like the secrets of the university and all of those things. So while I did really like this, I think I rated it like 3.75, which is still a really good rating. I just, again, I felt like it could have been a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed. I like this. I can't wait for book 2. I will definitely be reading book 2 whenever it comes out. And then lastly, I read Daggermouth, of course, and this was so much fun. I did start to get a little bit worried going into this because I was seeing so many good ratings for this that I was like, is it too hyped up? And then I ended up just having the absolute best freaking time reading this. Every time I picked it up, I was just like, wow, these characters are also interesting. I'm so locked in with all of their storylines, everything that's happening, all of the interconnecting plots. It was so dark. Also, y'all, I know a lot of people like to skip the trigger warnings at the beginning of books. Please don't skip the trigger warnings. Just read them, please. But it's sorry, this was upside down the whole time. But anyway, I loved this. This is a dark dystopian romance. We're set in a world where the heart is in the middle, and then as you go out, the poorer it gets. And then we're following Shadira, who ends up getting herself locked in to this arranged marriage with Grayson Serrell, who is the son of the president in this world, and the president in this world is extremely dark and heinous and terrible, and hated him so much. But yeah, we're following all of them. I love all of the characters, and the found family of this was just so beautiful and amazing. And the plot twist at the end, the reveals at the end were just so amazing. I cannot wait for book 2. If you can't tell, I rated this 5 stars and I had the absolute best time. But I do have to go to work. Those were the 6-ish books that I read in February and March, and hopefully I can read more in April. We shall see. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.